Okay, I know that this is going to look a little bit glary and I can see all the light coming through that window, and I'm sorry, but my camera died about 3 weeks ago and I've been trying really hard to find a replacement, but I couldn't find anything that fit my budget. So what I'm doing is I'm using my phone, and I'm sorry, I know the picture quality isn't as good, but it's all I've got. So this is what I have to work with, and I'll try and splice it up with my DSLR footage so that at the very least it doesn't look like a complete downgrade. But today what I wanted to talk about is all the things that I want to improve over the winter, and I like to use the winter as a kind of take stock and improve, and just get everything ready for the season to come. Now, if I do that well this winter, I'm hoping to get to the point where I can grow pretty much all my vegetables all year round from the garden. This year was an incredible success. I wasn't expecting to be as successful as I was, but the last 3, almost 4 months, all of our vegetables have come from the garden, and most of our fruit. There's one section of fruit that I don't really count because our in-laws have some very established apple trees and they've been giving us tons of them. Now, we're not at the point yet where we have apples in our garden. We have 3 apple trees which we're training on espaliers in our garden, but as with any kind of bush or fruit tree, there's kind of a waiting game. It's a time investment. You need to wait those first 2 to 3 years, and then there's the payoff which lasts the rest of your life. But we're not there yet. Next year we should start to get the first of our own fruits, but it's still the waiting game, so that doesn't really count. But we are so close. We are so close. But I want to use this winter to just make sure that I'm a lot more secure in a lot of things like water, storage, how efficiently I do everything. Now, I've done a lot of things this year that I'm very proud of and have made a huge difference. And I will do a video about 4 or 5 things that I did this year that massively improved how efficient I was, how much food I was able to grow, and just how much easier it made my life. And that will probably be the next video, but for today I want to talk about the projects that I want to do this winter, just to make sure that next season is even better, and hopefully it should mean that I can grow food all year round, no matter what the weather, between the polytunnel, between the raised beds that I want to get set up, between the little what's it called? I've got these kind of greenhouse-like covers for some of the raised beds, and making one of them a permanent winter kind of raised bed greenhouse. But yeah, just the 4 things, the things that I want to do this winter to make sure that next spring is an even better season than this year, and also I can grow even more of my food next year. The first thing I want to make sure next year is that I am completely self-sufficient in water. I knew this was something that I should have sorted out 2 years ago, because we had a really ridiculously hot summer this summer, but we had the same thing the year previously. Now, it wasn't as extreme as this year, but that year I took note of that, and I said, no, we've got to get more water butts. And what happened is just everything else took precedence, and this year I've got to make sure that I don't do that. It's like, no, water butts are actually the priority. And it's also best to get that kind of thing in winter, because in England no one's buying water butts in winter, so you can get them for way cheaper, which is kind of what I did this year with the greenhouses. I got these little seed tray greenhouses smack bang in the middle of the heat wave, and I got greenhouses which normally cost 25 quid each for a tenner, because no one's buying greenhouses in a heat wave. So it just makes sense to try and buy things off season if you're trying to save money and make money stretch out as far as you can. So over the winter, my plan is to get a lot more slimline water tanks which will go along behind the shed. They've been good, but the big thing I want, because those little slimline tanks are just not going to be enough, is I want to get some IBC tanks, and I want to have those in a row next to the shed. That way I can connect them up to the just the downpipe on the side, and have that fill up those IBC tanks. But they're not just going to be water butts. What you can do with IBC tanks is you can cut off the top, you flip it over so it's like a tray sat on top of a water tank. And if you get a good system where you have a little pump which pumps the water up from the bottom into that tray above, you have this beautiful little system where if you have fish in the tank below, the plants feed the fish poop in the water, that water gets funneled up, the plants eat the poop. And if you get that in balance and you get it right, you have plants which feed your fish that feed your plants, and you have this beautiful little system to top it off. If you use any of the water from that tanks in your own plants, it's basically water with fertilizer in it. Now that is a massively simplified explanation. There's a little bit more to that. You do need to be careful not to let the populations get too out of control, because then you end up with too much fertilizer. And it's like what happens if you put too much fertilizer on your plants. You can burn them and you will actually kill them by just overexposure to too much good stuff. So that is simplified, but what I'm going to do this winter is I'm just going to get the IBC tanks, set them up and try and get the aquaponics system going, try and get the plants in the tray above growing. If I can get through winter and I can make sure that I have a way for that pump to always be running without electricity, it either has to be solar or it has to be wind. Where I'm planning to place them, there's always a constant wind current. There was only 2 days so far this year where there wasn't not enough wind to move a tiny turbine, but on those days we had so much sun that a small solar setup would have more than handled it. So it's just about trying to get it right and making sure that it can work without me doing anything. I need to just set this up so that whether I'm at home, whether it's sunny, it can still just chug away. Having the water go still during the night is not going to be a problem, especially if I get the plants right. But I'm just going to focus on getting those tanks filled up, getting the aquaponics system going, getting the plants growing, and making sure that I can constantly have that water pumping through, and making sure that I can keep those plants growing and nothing freezes. That's my biggest concern at the moment, because if that freezes, that's going to cause issues. It could make things break, and if I ever have fish in there, that will really cause issues. So the primary concern for the moment is just get the IBC tanks, fill them up with water, and then try and get the aquaponics system going and just learn from it while it's in that state. If that succeeds over winter, wonderful. Then next year I can add tilapia to the tank and then we'll see how that goes. But that's the first thing that I want to try and get done this winter. Next up is something that I've been working on. It's just taking me forever because the quail at the moment are in this cage that I got. You've already seen this, it's the omelette cage. I will do a review on that because as much as I'm happy with it, if I could go back in time, I'm not sure that I would buy it for a few different reasons. First being that it's flipping expensive, and now that I've had it for a few months, I'm not entirely sure that it was worth it. It's very good, don't get me wrong, but I'll do a video all about that at a later date. The quail are in there, but what I want to do is make a secondary area. So you have the cage, and then what I want to do is that area outside of it, which is where all my fruit trees are currently being espaliered and where they're being fan trained. And then I have this big area where I'm gradually adding more berry bushes. I have 4 blueberries, I have a thornless blackberry, I have some goji berries, but I am going to be adding some, black currants, mulberries, there's a Japanese fruit that I really, really want to get my hands on. I think it's called a wineberry, Japanese wineberry. It's meant to taste like pomegranates. So I want to get more berry bushes, and I want to do this for a few different reasons. The first reason is that it will allow me to have a lot more birds in that area. Now I could just cram more birds into that tiny cage, but one of the big reasons why I have quail is because I want them to have a really, really good standard of living. I think that they should have a lot more room. Now this has a lot of benefits. It makes for healthier birds, which makes for healthier eggs, which is better for me. Also means that they have a larger area to run about and forage. They're going to be scratching the ground, they're going to get to bugs. It also means that I am not going to have to worry about weeding in this area at all, because while they're not as destructive as chickens with enough quail, they are still going to completely annihilate everything. There's another benefit. That means that I'm going to have to give them a lot less feed because they're going to be eating the weeds, the nettles, the sorrel, things like that which grow in the area, the comfrey. They're slow going on the comfrey, but they will eat it. But the extra benefit of that is that every time they poop, that's fertilizer that is going straight into the ground in an area which has been very densely packed with grapes, pears, plums, nectarines, apples, cherries. And I have planted a lot of trees in that area for a few specific reasons. Our soil is very, very hard, so it's very hard for roots to really get anywhere, so they're not going to have time to just smash into each other and start getting all knotted up and stealing nutrients. And they're not going to have to worry about there not being enough fertility in the soil, because if the quail are in that area, there's going to be so much fertility in that soil. They're going to have more than what they can possibly use. So anything in that area is going to thrive. And having that big area also means that if it's enclosed, wild birds can't get to my trees. This year at the beginning of the summer, I had a real problem with all the pigeons going straight for my blueberries and completely stripping those bushes bare, and I was pissed off. Once that area is closed off, it means that they can't get to my fruit bushes or my apple trees, but it also means that the wild birds cannot get near my quail, and that's something that I really want to avoid, because there's a lot of diseases like avian flu. If you've got an enclosed area where your birds are, you're pretty much safe. Unless you've got really bad hygiene standards, your birds are safe. And that's something that I don't ever want to have that problem. So I would rather preempt it by just enclosing that area and get all the extra benefits of having that area closed off. And then the third thing, which is it's going to be a lot of back-breaking work, but it's going to have a lot of benefits, is that center walkway down the polytunnel. I'm going to dig it out. And I'm going to dig it out so that I'm either knee deep or possibly even hip deep, so that when I'm walking in there, the edge of those raised beds reach up to my hip. Now I want to do this for two main reasons. The first being that it's going to make floor height raised beds, hip height raised beds. That makes a big difference on your back. And if there's one thing that it's quite important to me, is that always reduce the constant stress on your body, because you do not want that. It's just, you don't get a cookie for putting your body through tougher scenarios. Like, no one wins here. In the long run, it's going to cause problems. And I have enough health problems. I do not need to add to it. So I want to dig out that section. I'm going to use that mud to level out another area of the garden so that I can put more raised beds. And then that's going to have the added benefit of making a much more stable climate in the polytunnel. It's going to mean that it's going to be cooler in the summer, but hotter in the winter, because the ground always has a very stable temperature. Now, what I'm hoping is that this will mean that the polytunnel is frost free. That is an enormous benefit. It means that other plants that would otherwise just completely die off in the English climate could potentially grow in winter. Now, I'm under no illusions they're not going to be thriving in winter if there's snow outside, but they won't die, and they will keep producing even if it's slowly, and that is a massive improvement on not having the plants at all. So if I can do that, it's going to mean things like the lemon tree, the banana tree, the fig are going to be so much more happy and more productive. And it's also going to mean there's a lot of plants which, like parsnips, if I can grow parsnips in the snow, or carrots, or turnips will grow pretty much all the time, but if I can grow those year round, that's a huge advantage. And then the last reason why I want to do that is because underneath the raised beds, I kind of want, so if this is the raised bed up there and I've made the walkway here, I want to dig out underneath those raised beds and make a kind of, I guess, a small cube area so that I can put things like my worm bins underneath them. Now this is, I'm going to have to use some, what are they called? Cinder blocks to make the walls. And then on top of that, I'm going to have to put a thick concrete paving slab. Now, people are chucking concrete paving slabs all the time, particularly the kind that you find on old council estates are really ideal for what I want to use. So I can use all the wasted space directly underneath the raised beds to use that as storage, either for storing things like the halos, the blinds that I use in the polytunnel just to shield everything from getting too sunburned. But the main thing is I want to be able to have the worm bins underneath those raised beds. It's going to make it a lot easier for me to process things like waste from the kitchen. It's going to mean that the worms are going to be able to breed much faster. They stop breeding if it gets too cold. They also stop breeding if it gets too hot. But because it will be underground, it's not going to be so much of an issue. So it should have a stable climate which allows them to eat that food and process it into worm castings much faster. And hopefully it will mean that I can just process those worm castings, put them on the raised beds above, and again, it will be a beautiful system that just works really well. Any kitchen waste gets turned into garden compost gold, and it's going to be a lot easier on my back in the long run, which is something that I would really like to try, and just the less pain the better, quite frankly. And then the last one isn't really so much as food production as much as stopping my children destroying my plants. Now, my eldest is really good with plants. He will dig around them, or he'll play. He knows not to tear up plants. My youngest thinks that everything is edible, and he'll run up to things and go, "Oh, edible!" Then he'll just grab it and yank it up. And I've lost I lost 40 seedlings, bean seedlings at the beginning of this year. I also lost another 10 of the Greek Gigantes beans, which would have, just hurts my soul. I lost a load of squash. I lost some watermelons. The parsnips are direct, but I lost so much food because he decided to help. So what I've come to the conclusion that I need to just separate my garden. There needs to be the social area of the garden, and then there needs to be the working area. So I'm going to make a very small fence and just separate the garden so that they cannot access the raised beds, they cannot access the polytunnel or the quail, none of it. There's just the social area, and then there's the work area. So not really food related, but more like food protection. It's like a deer fence, but just for a very chubby, cheruby looking child that just likes to chomp everything. So yeah, there's that. Actually, there is one more thing that I still want to do. I have 2 very long metal raised beds in the garden, but what I want to do is add an extra 6. Now, not long ones, just 1 meter by 1 meter. So you'll have 6 cubes dotted next to it. Now that area still needs a lot of clearing. It needs leveling out. So the plan is to use the soil that I dig out from the walkway in the polytunnel, put that soil there, level out the area, then add the raised beds. And then what I want to do is the 2 raised beds, which are going to be on the end, I want to get the same kind of wiring which I'm currently using in the polytunnel, just to hold up things like the cucumbers, the beans, the squash, and make that in an arch so that it goes over the side of the raised beds and then hooks onto the edge of the fence, so that I have kind of this arched walkway between the raised beds and the fence. This is going to mean that I can grow things like squash, cucumbers, cucamelons, anything like that, something that really would love the heat. Or even a pepper plant. Now, I would have to uproot it in autumn. It's not going to survive the English winter. But there's a lot of vining plants which I can then grow in that space and just use that space more efficiently. More raised beds, more growing space. Yeah, that's probably going to be the easiest out of all the projects I have planned, because it's just a case of leveling it out, putting together the raised beds and then filling them up. And I've been saving all these different logs and roots and things like that to do the hugelkultur method inside those raised beds all summer. So I've already got quite a lot of material for that already. So we'll see how it goes. It's a lot of things that I'm planning to do, but I've got 5-6 months to do it. So provided I don't completely slack and the world doesn't go completely tits up, I should be fine. And hopefully next year I will have an even more productive garden, which is going to be very nice on my budget. I am not going to be complaining.